Hey guys, how you doing? Dervy here. A couple of days ago at BlizzCon, there was a pretty surprising announcement. For the first time in around 17 years, Blizzard has announced a completely brand new IP, Overwatch. If you've been reading around on the forums, seen stuff on YouTube, or you're a Redditor, you would have heard about this news. But for those of you who are still living underneath a rock and haven't a clue what this game is, well, this video is for you. We'll be going over every little bit of information that I could find about Overwatch and dump it all into one beautifully long video. So please, pause the video, get yourself a cup of tea or a coffee, get comfortable, as this will be a very long video. Before we even begin to discuss what Overwatch is, we need to go back in time and talk about Project Titan. So if you're an MMO enthusiast like I am, you would have at some point heard about Project Titan. Project Titan was a very ambitious MMORPG that was never officially revealed, announced or spoken about by the developers at Blizzard, but there have been many leaks and hints of this game throughout its long development time. According to multiple sources, and especially a very reliable Kotaku report about Titan, it was supposed to be a first and third person shooter MMORPG set in a sci-fi futuristic planet Earth. Blizzard aimed to make the game world as large as possible, allowing players to join one of three factions to gain control of the planet, and some of the zones planned for this game range from the United States, Europe, South America and Australia. The game also had a lot of comparisons to Team Fortress in terms of aesthetics and gameplay. Some of the classes for this game were named Reaper, Jumper, Titan, Ranger and Juggernaut, each class with their own very unique abilities and items. The Jumper classes were able to have teleport abilities and leap in and out of combat. Titans were tanks, whilst the Rangers were all snipers with cloaking abilities. Unfortunately, the game was too ambitious and the developers lost sight as to what they were actually creating. And in the end, they decided to scrap the project after many years of development and $50 million invested. You can click on some of the annotations for more information about what Titan was. All the links are also in the description box below. Now we have all of that out of the way, well, what the hell exactly is Overwatch then? Overwatch is a 6v6 team-based multiplayer first-person shooter. It has similar gameplay mechanics to games like Team Fortress 2, Unreal Tournament, Firefall, and has drawn some comparisons to the MOBA genre, games like League of Legends, Heroes of New Earth, and Dota. The game is very Pixar-esque in terms of aesthetics and can draw a striking resemblance to Team Fortress 2. The characters are very bold, iconic, and stylized, each with their own unique and eccentric personalities. Overwatch is set in a post-war Earth. The brief summary of the lore, according to the official Overwatch website, is during the global crisis, an international task force of heroes banded together to restore peace to the world. This group was called the Overwatchers, and of course, after the war ended, this group disbanded. Many years later, the adventurers, mercenaries, and scientists that saved planet Earth have returned. You will be able to run around guns blazing, wreaking havoc through very iconic areas on Earth, such as the streets of London. So far, 3 maps have been unveiled. The first is King's Row, which is based in London. The second map is Hanamura, which draws its inspiration from Japanese culture. And the third is called Temple of Anubis, which is set in an ancient Egyptian theme. Just like your average MOBA, Overwatch consists of a cast of many playable characters, which in this game are known as heroes. Currently, there are 15 heroes, 12 of which have been formally announced and playable. The 3 more are named but are shown in official artwork. Blizzard are still working on many more characters which will be announced or released in the future. It is currently unknown how these characters will be distributed. Each hero has a predetermined class and role with their own unique combat skill sets. There are 4 roles: offense, defense, tank and support. Offense roles are your typical damage dealers, whilst tanks are the group's meat shields. Defense roles focus on generating shields to support your offense roles, or by having a more defensive gameplay style to combat, while support roles provide buffs and group healing. Now, I will not go through all 12 heroes, but I will cover a few interesting heroes, especially those that draw some links to what was said about Project Titan in the Kotaku report. The first is a hero called Reaper, which is also one of the classes in Titan. Every game needs to have a rogue, ninja, stealthy, too edgy for you bro character or class. Well, Reaper is exactly that. He dual wields 2 shotguns and has access to very few cool abilities, such as Wraith Form, which makes him invulnerable to damage and allows him just to travel through terrain like it's nothing. A Shadow Step, where he places a marker and on activation he teleports to that marker, followed by an ultimate known as Death Blossom, where he pretty much spins around like a maniac, blasting his shotguns all over the place. The second is Tracer, who already appears to be my favourite out of the 12 heroes shown in gameplay. Tracer appears to be your typical glass cannon offensive class, dual wielding rapid fire pistols. Personally, Tracer has some of the coolest skills in the game, and I would not be surprised if she gets banned in all forms of competitive play at a higher level. From what I've seen, she's ridiculously powerful. First, she has a blink, which allows her to teleport 3 times in the direction she's facing. She has 3 blink charges, each regenerating after around 3 seconds. It appears she can blink on top of objects and maybe even mid-air, which is stupidly broken. The second is Recall, which is even worse. This skill allows her to go back in time, returning her to a previous location a few seconds ago, and fully restoring all of her health and ammunition. Her ultimate is Pulse Bomb, which places an adhesive bomb on her target, which explodes, dealing very high damage within its blast radius. This sounds a lot like the Jumper class, which Kotaku reported. Next is Widowmaker. She is a defensive role hero who is a sniper. Her sniper has 2 modes, a standard sniper mode, then if she was to ever get into close quarters combat, her rifle can switch to a fully automatic fire mode. First, Widowmaker has a grappling hook, which allows her to reach areas of the terrain other classes may not be able to reach. The second is Venom Mine. This mine can be placed on any surface, and if a target gets too close to the mine, it will explode, leaving a very poisonous gas which intoxicates all enemies within the vicinity. Her ultimate not only allows herself but her entire team to view all the enemies through walls and the terrain. It appears that each class has a primary damaging skill, 1 movement skill, a utility ability, and then an ultimate. Ultimates must first be charged up before they can be used. There is a gauge at the bottom of the middle screen which kinda looks like a dial and shows the current percentage of your ultimate. Once your ultimate gauges fills up, it will start glowing blue with like an electric bolt animation going through it. This gauge fills up when you receive or deal damage to enemies. Majority of the heroes have an average survivability and appear to survive longer than what you may expect in games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, or other first-person shooters. Having said that, there are of course some characters who are squishier or tankier than others. Tracer, for example, is the most squishiest hero with only 150 health. On the other hand, we have Reinhardt, who is a tank with a staggering 600 health. It sounds kind of unfair, but they're both balanced. Tank classes have less mobility and are a bit more slower, whereas characters like Tracer have a lot more movement. If you want to check out more heroes, please click the link which has just appeared on the screen, which should redirect you to the Overwatch website, where there will be a comprehensive list of all 12 heroes as well as their abilities. There isn't really that much information about the gameplay mechanics, but I'll briefly cover over what I've been able to gather so far. Each round of the game lasts a maximum of 15 minutes, not too long, not too short. There will always be a defined winner or loser after 15 minutes as well. Regardless of the hero's faction affiliation, anyone can play any hero. There is no maximum cap of the heroes per match, so it is possible to stack 6 of the same hero. According to the developers during the Q&A sessions, all characters have been balanced to where character stacking is actually detrimental to your team. One of the more interesting aspects of the game is that players are not locked into the characters that they select during matches. Upon death, every player can switch heroes, which allows for a constant shift in the meta for the 15-minute matches. Your team could start off very offensive, but then switch to being a bit more tanky. Alternatively, you can change your team's strategy entirely to counter the maneuvers of your opponent. This allows for very interesting strategies and tactics that some of the more advanced teams and players could potentially take advantage of. There's also a 6-second respawn timer upon death. At the end of each round, it displays who the MVP of the match was, and instead of showing the MVP's last kill, it will show their best kill or flurries of kills of the round. There have been 2 confirmed game modes. First is Payload. The objective of this mode is for the attackers to safely move the payload to the delivery point. The defenders must halt the attacker's progress, preventing them from delivering the payload to the point. The second is Point Capture, which is your typical capture the objective game. There are 2 points, A and B. The attacking team's goal is to capture both of the points within the time limit, whilst the defenders must gain control of the map and prevent the attackers from capturing both points. It takes approximately 10 seconds to capture either one of the points. Aside from being able to jump around and use the environment to your advantage, there's also no fall damage according to the reports. So from what we can see, it appears Overwatch could have potentially been the scraps of Project Titan, and it is possible to draw very distinctive connections between both games. This really isn't anything new. Blizzard have been known in the past to reuse artwork, assets and ideas from previous projects when developing either new games or content for existing franchises. One example was Project Nomad, a squad-based sci-fi game which they were developing in the year 1999. They cancelled this project and used some of the ideas they created during development and included them into the world of Warcraft. Overwatch is its own unique personality. Yes, it does share some similarities to games like Team Fortress 2, and yes, it definitely does take some of the concepts from MOBAs, such as a very small skill loadout and a large array of unique characters to choose from, but Overwatch seems to be something more than that. Overwatch reminds me of my inner child just exploding all over the screen. It's just filled with bright, vibrant colours, extremely fast-paced and over-the-top gameplay, and has the potential to be an extremely long-lasting franchise like the Diablo, Warcraft or Starcraft series. Hopefully good comes of this game, and hopefully Blizzard really stretches the boundaries of this fantastic new IP, hopefully pushing it towards a more competitive esports realm. So guys, let me know what you think of Overwatch in the comment section below. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.